Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're talking about the best-selling cards under $5 or less. If you've noticed, the front page looks different. I get asked this a lot in videos, so this is a little random thing. If you randomly saw this video, you can see I'm not gonna do this. I'll do this every now and again, just to remind. Because I remember I actually typed out a full way to do it, and it actually was a bit lengthy as a typing out. But if you notice, I went to Yugioh. I don't know if anybody just saw what I just did there, so I'll actually talk about what I'm doing. But I went to Yugioh, went down to advanced search, and this is actually really great because all of the sets are here, all of the different card types are here for the most part. It's not like continuous traps versus continuous, spells and different things like that. It's like just traps and just spells. But you can type off the description, you can type off based off the name. I know for me it's a lot easier a lot of times to type off of the description because it's like, oh, that's the one that does this and does that, but I don't remember its name, right? Different things like that. You can do based off attribute, rank, obviously, attack, defense, and then you can do less than, equal to, or greater than. And then I just go here. I put the $5. You could put any number in there. When I did the video about $1 or less, which we might, do that again at some point soon. This is where I did that as well. And then I just hit search. Now, for me, I don't know what relevance means. I've looked up what relevance means. And I don't really see the relevance in searching off of relevance. Now, A to Z seems not at all the move. Market low to high, we end up seeing cards like this, like Frenzied Panda. High to low, we end up seeing cards that aren't actually $5, like we just saw anyway. Those cards were not under $5. I don't know how those ended up being there. But then we go to best selling, and when we sort by best selling, now we can get a really good feel on what the market looks like under $5. And I just saw on a previous video I made that there was a counter trap. I don't even remember the name. You banish a monster to take your opponent's monster, and the card actually blew up. And that's why we do it right here. You know what I mean? Just so my job, or the way I see it at least, is just to tell you about what cards I think could go up, what cards I think won't go up, and just to bring them to your attention, right? How you feel about the card is always trump over how I feel, right? If I think that Gigantic Sprite is going to be a $1 card next week, but you think it's going to be a $4 card next week, always go with your gut over my own. I always say that. I just wanted to remind everybody of that as we get started. Nothing too insanely different, though. Like we talked about Avarice, we talked about Dark Ruler No More, Psy-Frame Gear Gamma, we've talked about multiple times, but we are starting to get to a spot to where you might not see this card anymore. Yep, because these two, the Premium Gold and the Toon Chaos version, have been floating around in this market watch if you've been following along for the last legitimately 3 months. And we look now, it's no longer under $5, the El Dorado version, right? And I think a big reason for that, Tier Elements is really solid as a strategy, and they have a lot of monster effects, as does Sprite. So you can activate any spell, and they have the monster that negates spells and traps. I think it's Carrot. Is Carrot the one that does that? I know they have one that negates spells. I know they have one that negates monsters. Like I said, I know the description. I don't know the name. But Psy-Frame Gear Gamma can come in there, right? Obviously, Psy-Frame Gear Gamma is also the, hit towards Ash. And what's good, too, about Psy-Frame Gear Gamma, the ban list is floating around. Maybe it'll get dropped sometime soon. This is really good if you've been playing Master Duel against Max C, right? Activate Emergency Teleport, chain Max C, chain Psy-Frame Gear Gamma, right? I have mentioned this before, and I am going to mention this again because I mention this every single time I talk about this card. I do not like running this card because I don't really like running a circumstantial card that has a Garnet. Now, by all means, once again, like I just said, I am not the rule of law, right? I am not the almighty Connor, controller of the 3 Egyptian gods that are behind me. Oh, no, those are that's Blue Eyes and Red Eyes. And I'm not in control of them either, right? So if you think Cyframe Gear Gamma is a good card, and it's worth running the driver, that's fine. There are actually instances where driver comes up as a solid card. Like you tribute summon for driver, it actually ends up being relevant because driver does have 2,500 attack. And driver is a super cheap card and always will be because it's just always going to be a one of. But my biggest issue with it, one, you could draw this card instead of Cyframe Gear Gamma, right? And that is why we are seeing people turn more towards 45 card decks and 50 card decks. Like if we probably went to here, I would venture to say they're not all going to be 40 to 50 card decks. I know it's not a deck breakdown, but I was just proving, like the first one we saw, $46, right? Like, or 46 cards, excuse me, not $46. I wish it was $46, excuse me. But Sprite Punk, 46 cards. The reason for that is so the Garnets and the one-ofs that we're searching out, or summoning off of Halka Fibrax, we don't draw those all the time, right? We're less likely to draw those, and that's actually a smart way to deck build and deck design, right? But another issue I have with driver isn't just that you can draw it, it's that if you end up summoning out driver and then it gets banished, your other copies of Gamma are turned off. And I've never really liked that. So I don't personally run Cyframe Gear Gamma. I don't think it's a really solid engine, but I'm allowed to, just like I'm allowed to think that, you're allowed to disagree with me, right? So that being said, it is starting to creep up in price. If you haven't picked up yours yet, but you would like to, I would do it now because I don't think it's going to go down anytime soon. And like I said, I don't think it's going to be hit by the ban list. It's at 2 on Master Duel, and that ban list is just like lost in the woods for some reason. I don't think that's going to happen in the TCG. And I think the only thing that could happen that's going to affect Cyframe Gear Gamma's price at this point is the return of Maxi. Like, I don't see a reprint coming anytime soon. It's possible, right? I think Sprite is also another reason too. I totally forgot that deck is running E-Telly, and they summoned this out too. So I guess E-Telly getting hit could potentially affect the card, but honestly, this is a fantastic card in a lot of circumstances. I don't think it's fantastic enough to own a set, but if you haven't picked up yours yet, I would definitely pick it up now, right, to make a short story long. But a lot of these are still the same. This card's kind of calmed down as I thought it was going to. I still don't really love the card design. I don't know why we got to put effect negations on everything, but it's fine. There's always one card that I've literally never seen before. Okay, so it's a new archetype. All right. I mean, it's a new archetype from the Power of Elements, right? And so there's going to be someone in the comment section that's like, I've been playing this archetype for decades. But how do you even say it? Vernunslimps? That's not it. Whatever I just said is not how you say it. But we'll call him Vern. Vern monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. You can discard this card, add one. You can discard this card or a Vern monster or Vern card. Add one Vern card from your deck to your hand, except itself. Yes. You special summon an Earth monster from your graveyard. Also, you cannot activate non-Earth monster effects for the rest of this turn. Interesting. So I take it they're all Earth monsters then, right? Like they have to be. Okay. Because they used to have a spot here, but now they have articles talking about it instead. So we'll just look up the Vern archetype. Perfect. Interesting. That's not the worst card I've ever read, and this is exactly what I thought this deck was going to look like. Interesting. You might randomly see this deck as a deck profile. Because look at this. This is insane. All right. I'm not going to really dive deep into what all these cards do, but we are going to do this real quick as well. I've mentioned this before, and if you haven't heard me mention it, I'll just mention it again. Whenever I get deck cores or I get decks, it's not a Vern deck. It's not a Vern deck. It's a Vernus. Maybe that works. Maybe that works. Do you think that worked? Oh, no, it did not. All right, so Vern USL. Does that help? Okay, we're at skateboard US. Oh, it's USY. Oh my goodness gracious. USYL. I think that's it, right? That's how you spell it, right? Nope. Oh, I added a U. I added a U for no reason. Here we go. Boom. $10. Literally. Like there's there's just 7 cards. So you get 21 cards. This only has 6. So it's missing one of them. Oh, it's missing the spell. This is missing the 3 of field spell. Cora. Or is it the field spell? Or is it a continuous spell? Corella. So let me know in the comments down below before I dive too deep in it. But with an effect like that, this seems like it could be just a fun deck to mess around with. So you got this, like I said, $10. I literally might buy this after I'm done shooting this video. Just to have it. Like, just honestly to have it. This is only a 1 of, though, on this. So, and by the way, this isn't me. I just, like, searched this up, and I just, because I do sell cards on eBay. It's hot dog. But $15 for a full deck core is what it just seems like what we're looking at, because this has 3 of all of the cards we're looking for. And hey, if this card is now randomly popping up in the penny stock market watch, it could potentially see a rise. And what's interesting about this card, right? As of right now, we'll just expand it out to a month. It got to here, and I think people were starting to realize, wait a minute, I can get an entire deck for $15, right? Free shipping. So, like I said, I'm just gonna leave this open because I'm literally gonna buy this after I get done with this, because it's only $15. Now, like I was just talking about, that's just my opinion. I haven't even read the rest of the cards. I don't know what the rest of the cards do. I'll probably read the rest of the cards first before I decide I'm buying it. But this effect is really good. You know, you have the okay, it's not really good in the sense of like Sprite Starter summons out a monster from the deck, and that's really good. Like, it's not like that good, but it does appear to be in the category of budget but fine, right? And you could get some cheeky wins at a local. I wouldn't be surprised if we checked YouTube and saw this at like 4th or 5th place at a locals. And for $15, you can get the entire deck core. And the thing is, too, this archetype could just randomly be really good a year from now, and we'll all be like, "I'll remember when we were talking about that being a $15 core deck." I don't think it'll ever be like super expensive, because like some archetypes that are just, they start out this cheap don't usually get super duper expensive, but sometimes they do. Sometimes you randomly, because sometimes it's like a year after they get some support, and sometimes it's like 3 or 4 years later, you're like, what is this Vern deck, and why is this really good now, and why is it so expensive? And it's like, oh, it's because it was from Power of the Elements and everybody thought it was bad, right? So interesting budget option here. Earth Fairy is also a weird combination. I don't know how many Earth Fairies there are, right? But it does feel like there's something you can do there with this archetype. Abyss Shark is making its way. Math Mech, I think that's the second Math Mech card we've seen, right? And Math Mech, I personally think right now, and you guys can let me know in those comments down below, because last year around this time I made a top 5 best budget decks for returning players, and I've thought about doing essentially another 5 a year later. So because those 5 that I talked about are still really solid, but just talking about 5 more relatively budget decks under $100. Now Math Mech is starting to creep to that $100 spot, but we still see a situation where a Math Mech deck is like $60 to $100, right? And that's fine. That's really solid. So I think Math Mech is the best combination of cost for how good it is, right? I think Sprite is actually also pretty close to that though as well. If you're willing to drop the $300 to $400, Sprite is actually not the most expensive deck in the room, right? Like, there have been situations where we've seen more expensive decks than Sprite be the best deck, and nobody has it, and everybody wants to play it, right? But Math Mech is a really solid deck as well, and it's only $100. Now, you do need cards like Sign It Mining, Access Code Talker, and then that will start to drive up the value. But as far as the core itself, Math Mech is insane. Spirit of Neos. Is this good? I mean, it's a level 4 monster, so that's a good start. No, it's not. It's a level 7 monster. When your opponent's monster declares an attack, you special summon this card from your hand in defense position. If you do, can't be destroyed by battle. If this card is special summon, you can add a poly or a spell and trap that mentions elemental hero monster in its name. During your main phase, you can shuffle this card into your deck, and if you do, special summon one elemental hero normal monster. Okay. So it's got the Battle Fader effect. No, it doesn't. I think Battle Fader ends the Battle Fader. Wait, okay, one second. It's been a long time since I read this card, so don't get mad at me for never looking this up. Oh, it's not Fader, is it? It's definitely not Fader. Yeah, it's Fader. Oh, look at Battle Fader. It's been too long. And then end the battle phase. I thought so. So it does not have the Battle Fader effect, but it kind of does because, you know, if your opponent doesn't have the out, right, then they can't really, like if they don't have a way to pop this card, then they can't really get rid of it. Obviously, there's a lot of different ways to pop this card. It's not really a solid stall card then. Like I said, like Battle Fader is better. But the searching for polymerization does feel relevant. There are a lot of ways, though, that heroes have access to search for polymerization. Searching for a card that mentions an elemental hero monster is pretty interesting, though. And I think that this just comes down to what cards like this always come down to. You know, hero players are messing around with it. I think that's what happened. I think, you know, there's the budget hero players playing their budget hero deck, and they're like, you know, I really need a way to search polymerization that doesn't break the bank. And this does fall in that category. And this could be something where, like cards that are like this cheap, where you buy 3 copies. We got to edit the card real quick because there's still some from last week, right? But you take 3 copies of this card, and it's $3.33. So it's like $5 for 3 copies of this card. And potentially there could be a cool combo with this card that leads it to being more than like $1 per, right? Because there's listings as low as 12 cents, and the market price is about 80 cents. If it gets to $2, and we bought all 3 of them for $5, that's profit. Not a lot of profit, but it's profit, right? So I don't necessarily think it's fantastic. Like this card, it's another situation that's probably not ideal. If you just summon a fusion monster from your extra deck, that includes hero monsters, ignoring summoning conditions, placing its fusion materials at the bottom amongst banished, graveyard, or field. If you played elemental hero Neos into the deck, if you place Neos into the deck, neither player can return the special summon monster by the effect to the extra deck. Okay, so this plays around their restriction, which says that they get special summoned back to the extra deck. So that's pretty cool. It's a trap card. If this was a quick play, this would be a very fantastic card. But the fact that it's a trap card means it is a little slow. But I do like that it plays with the banished cards. So that's nice. But this is, like I said, another like budget alternative to make your hero deck a little better. Like that's kind of what Spirit of the Neos and Favorite Contact feel like. They're not like the best way to play heroes, right? Like we just did the video talking about, it was like 30 minutes long too, talking about how to beat heroes. You probably don't have to worry about these cards if we're talking about the best version of heroes, but you might want to know that these cards do exist because they aren't like the worst cards ever, and just, you know, there are some good effects that the fusion monsters have, and the fact that this card can just bring them out is pretty solid. The fact that this card can easily get to polymerization, so I can bring them out, is pretty solid. And it is an elemental hero, warrior, light, Neos. It covers a lot of bases for searchability as well, right? So that's something to keep in mind here. Is this what I think it is? One Scareclaw or reverse monster. For this link summon, you can use monsters in your main monster zone. You can only use monsters in your main monster zone as material of this card's link summon. Add 1 primitive planet Richu card from your deck to your hand. If you control Visas Starfrost, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. That's unique and fun. I'm pretty sure. Okay, because this card can get summoned in Tri Brigade, and I remember. I MCO40 had referenced this card, but I thought he was talking about another card. I assumed he was talking about a card that the deck can actually summon with a generic normal summoned monster, but I'm pretty sure that's their only, yeah, because he was talking about the League 1 monster. You can, right? You can, Kuraz, Pitch, Fractal. Maybe that's the only 2 monsters you opened. Banish Fractal, summon this card, use these cards, get to Baron Blossom. Don't really know what you go from there. Or maybe go to Rampant Rampager. Or maybe just make it different, because this can be used as a generic Link monster, right? As well. You do need a Scareclaw monster or a Visas Starfrost. Yeah, interesting. Now, whether or not this card is going to go up in value, I think this is only going to ever be a 1 of. I don't ever see it. I think Scareclaws might run it as a 3 of. I don't know how important this card is to the archetype. Like, I don't know if it's like, oh, yes, we have a searcher for that. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's what this card is. I've actually never seen these 3 words back to back to back before. And like I said before on videos, like, I used to know what a lot of the archetypes did in Yu-Gi-Oh, but that was like a decade ago. Like, it's just, the field spell is pretty expensive. It searches the field spell when it's activating as Scareclaw or Visa Starfrost, but your deck your hand, you control 3 pop it. That's not bad. And it searches. Yeah, this is cool. And so you have a way to search this. That's actually pretty good support. Will this card ever be $1? I would say yes. I could very easily see this card being worth $1. Like, I think it's already worth $1. Yeah, I was gonna say, could I see this card? No, now. Okay, one next step. It could be worth $2. Well, we go down here, right, and that's where we try to check this part out. As we get to the second page, we're already seeing $1.99, $1.97, $1.98, $1.99. A lot of $1.99s holding the line here. So it'll probably be $1.99 for a while. And then as we get already to page 4, this will probably be a $2 card very soon, right? I mean, it literally serves a very similar purpose as if I knew it. I knew I was spelling it wrong. How do you spell? See, this one I feel a little bit bad about because I actually do play this deck. I should know how to spell Salamangreat. It does feel like it fits a very similar role. Now, obviously, Salamangreat Almirage is a little bit easier to summon. So it's not going to be as expensive as, let's say, this, Battles of Legend Heroes Revenge version, which is around, it's kind of all over the place. It's around, like, wow, this card's taking off. This card get bought out? This version of this card got bought out. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, these are all Korean. Yeah, this is like a $13 card. I don't see that card that we were just talking about, and I already forgot its name. Scareclaw, Lightheart taking off. But it is a really solid Scareclaw support card. And Scareclaw does seem like an archetype. Like what we were just talking about with this Vern archetype. Like, there are a lot of decks nowadays. Welcome to my TED Talk. There are a lot of decks nowadays that are actually really good, like in comparison. Like if you take Scareclaws and plop them in Tango Plant format, they're probably one of the best decks of the format, right? And so we have a lot of decks like that nowadays, and it is fun to mess around with just like random budget decks like Scareclaws, for example, or like Verna Slimp, right? Because it gets stale, for me at least, it gets stale playing the same decks over and over again. It's like, oh, how is Salamangreat in this format? How is Salamangreat in this format? You know, are you going to pick up Sprite? Are you going to pick up tier elements now? And they're probably going to be more expensive when the Ishizu stuff comes out, and the Ishizu stuff will be more expensive. Instead of chasing the meta around, spending, $300 to $500 on a deck every 1 to 3 months, you could also just, like, mess around with a bunch of different random rogue decks. And we see a lot of people doing that. So I could see this card, because of those people, being like, thank you for coming to my TED Talk, being like worth $2 to $3, because this is the type of card that won't see enough play to merit a quick reprint, but it is the type of card that should see enough play to go up in value. But let me know what you guys think. What are the best selling cards under $5 or less that you like? Is this archetype good? Because I'm about to buy it. You discard this card. Unit Target. Okay. It doesn't seem bad. It doesn't seem bad. But let me know what you guys think in those comments down below. Make sure you guys click that like button to show your support for the channel. Subscribe for even more content. But most importantly of all, have a good day.